Good morning again. I know this may be midway through a video. I don't really know how I'm going to split all these shots up yet, but they will be split up, and this could be halfway through one. But I did 4 hours yesterday morning, but the temperatures were up near 30 degrees by just after lunchtime, so that was enough for me. It's a bit cooler today, still hot but less humid. So back down here at 6:30 in the morning and pick up where we left off. Really, I'd like to find a couple more fen orchids. I've only got that one shot and I'm not 100% sure how that came out. You'll know by now, but I don't know, so if I can find another one or two I'll be happy. Apart from that, let's just crack on where we left off. I'm sort of it's not overly scientific, but I'm trying to stay to the eastern side of the reserve today and yesterday, and then save the western side until tomorrow to finish it off. That's about as comprehensive a coverage as I can come up with. So yeah, let's hope today's as good as it was yesterday. I'm sure it will. There you go. They take some finding to these, as you can imagine. But that's our second fen orchid. Another creamy and immensely faded incarnata form of the early marsh orchid. And there's me thinking full-born fen had unique early marsh orchids. Well, they share that uniqueness with Kenfig, it seems. I was going to say pale southern marsh orchid, and it could be. I think it's an early marsh orchid though. It's got quite strongly reflexed flowers, got like ridge running down the middle, and the outer lobes lean back. You've got the two sacs coming down, and you've got the sepals vertically upwards. It's an early marsh orchid. I assume it's one of the incarnata variations that you get here in terms of colour. If there's anything else, I'll look it up, but it's almost certainly a pink, purple even, incarnata form of the early marsh orchid, I think. I think that's, I am certain that's another incarnata form of the early marsh orchid, this time an even richer purple. Two big loops, spaniel's ears, call them what you like, in the centre, sepals straight upwards. Yeah, that's definitely an early marsh orchid. Incarnata purple. In case you're thinking, he's changed his tune with all this incarnata purple. One of the things I did back at base yesterday was look at the textbooks, orchid bibles. Those plants I thought might have been pulchella yesterday. No way, they're not pulchella. They don't go that dark, and undoubtedly when I read up on the sort of incarnatas you can find here, they go the full range, including what we don't see up Peterborough Way or over Peterborough Way, where they're all pink. You get some quite dark purple incarnata forms of early marsh here, and I think that's what we were seeing yesterday, and certainly those that I've got down low to today are definitely early marsh orchids, and purple or not, and they are incarnata forms, so no pulchellas, and I don't even think pulchella grows here, contrary to what I said yesterday, so that's okay, quite happy with that. Another couple of early marsh. I won't keep doing these, but I'm quite fascinated by these dark purple incarnata early marsh orchids. Never seen these before. But again, you can see the two distinct sacs on the flowers with the dot inside, nothing much on the outside of those markings, which is textbook early marsh, and also the sepals that stick up above the flower, bunny's ears, if you want to call them that, straight upright. Again, classic early marsh orchid, and it's a short stumpy plant as well, so it's got everything going for it textbook wise. And that's more like what I know as an incarnata early marsh orchid. That could be in Peterborough. Or having said that, actually the Peterborough ones, they keep their colour all the way down for the full extent of its life. This one still fades, but you can see the pink at the top, which is very recognisable. Just to complete the set, a very nice and fresh and vibrant coccinea form of the early marsh orchid. Very nice. A lovely vibrant colour. I think it's an early marsh orchid again, simply because of those markings. Fantastic markings on that southern marsh orchid pale form. Absolute spot overload. Gorgeous plant. Nice markings on that one. It has got faint spots on the leaves, so I'm going to call that as a common spotted southern marsh hybrid, but one of the nicer of these common hybrids that I've ever seen. Another very nice pale southern marsh orchid. And a slightly bigger one behind it. I'm in one corner of a very large scrape here, which was primarily early marsh orchid when I came into it, but now we've got over to one corner. It's kind of, I mean, I'm not exaggerating, virtually every single one of these has something going on. There's very few pure southern marsh or pure early marsh. They're all mixing here in the most fantastic way. You could spend an age just stuck in this corner of the reserve. What a fantastic colour scheme that is. Southern marsh orchid, white and pale. Not sure I've ever seen that one before. That's lovely. And so it goes on. I mean, what is that? I mean, first of all, the colouring is incredible. You've almost got a rhodochilla form of something there. The amount of pigmentation in that one is incredible. It's short, it's stout. I'm just trying to look closely. I think the sepals are pretty vertical above it. And I think those big red blocks are in effect your usual loops. They're just filled in with darker colour. So I think it's another, I don't know, is it really a coccinea early marsh orchid? Or is it a vibrantly coloured southern marsh orchid? I'll take either. I think it is actually an early marsh again. But what an incredible colour. I keep racing over to these thinking they'll be a white early marsh orchid, but they're not, even though they nearly are. They're just faded incarnata forms. They're quite nice. There's a lot of them. It sort of brings home to roost the fact that one thing I haven't seen here, and it seems wrong to talk about anything missing from this site, but I've not seen any white, truly white anything, particularly southern marsh. You'd think with all the marsh orchids here there'd be a white somewhere. Maybe there is. And no white early marsh orchids either. Still to come maybe. Not sure there's anything going on with that, but I said yesterday I thought I found a Schornophilia or Schornophilia, God knows how you pronounce it. I'll put it on the screen if it is. Southern marsh orchid. There's only like 3 pretty lax flowers on that one. And if I look from above, you can maybe see that the flowers are all on one side of the plant, which is another characteristic of this strange variation. So it could be It could be. Got bewildered by a couple of these yesterday. Extremely spotty plants with no spots on the leaves. I think this one, because of the white throat at the top, I think it is just a southern marsh orchid, and another one of these sort of strange variations here at Kenfig. It can't really be anything else. Nothing in the textbook really would suggest it's anything else. It's just there's way too many spots, and the width of the spots rather than straight down the centre as it should be on southern marsh, you know, it makes it slightly different, but I think that's what it is, just a southern marsh orchid. Nice one though. Cockinias everywhere. So I have to come down this evening and catch the sea right up in front of me because it's always out in the mornings. You don't get too many Twayblades here, or at least I'm not seeing many. There's a nice group of 3 here. Nice bold, vibrant pyramidal orchid. Fully open as well. What a lovely setting. You clamber over sand dunes on the seafront and you just bump into a lovely freshwater lake like this. Absolutely beautiful. I've gone east, no scrapes as such, no orchids as such. It's all sort of shrubby sort of ground, pyramidals, Twayblades, but nothing more interesting. So I'm drifting back west again now, but from inland, and I'm hoping to pick up some scrapes that we haven't seen and get back on the orchids as such. Then again, I could stay here for the next couple of hours. At last, I found an orchid scrape. That's been a long trek. Good to be back on it. Another of those immensely spotted southern marsh orchids, he said with a bit of hesitation. There's no spots on the leaves. Yeah, it's just a Kenfig, strange southern marsh orchid. Spotty leaves. There's loops on the leaves as well, so it's either a Kernerorum crossed with an early marsh or it's a cross with a southern marsh. You've really got to go with the loops and say it's a cross with early marsh or Kernerorum, but I'll go either way. Make your own minds up. That's a glorious pink Southern Marsh orchid. Nice. If you like your Coccinia early Marsh, Kenfigs for you. Get in your car. There are thousands of them. You can never have too many. Another absolute stunner with very strong early Marsh orchid markings, especially on the upper half, and faint but distinct spots on the leaves, which makes that a Kernerorum for certain. Oh, very distinct early Marsh orchid loops on that one. Can't argue with those. The leaves are very minute. I'm not sure whether there's spots on them or not. There's a couple of spots that could just be damage to the leaves. I don't really know. I would say it hasn't got spots on the leaves, so that's an interesting one. It's a nice pale Southern Marsh. I'm going to call that as another of these nicely coloured incarnata forms of early Marsh orchid, because they're very distinct, the early Marsh orchid flowers, very heavily reflexed with large well marked loops on them. It can't be anything else, no spots on leaves. Purple incarnata form of early Marsh orchid. Boldly marked sacs on the flowers, no spots on the leaves. Southern Marsh orchid and early Marsh orchid in combination there, I would say. Hugely vibrant, sort of reddy purple Southern Marsh orchid, I think. I mean, it kind of has got some loops on some of them, but I don't know. I might study this one on my computer, but I think a vibrant Southern Marsh at the moment. It's lovely colouring on that one. It's got spotty leaves, so with those sort of loops as well on the flower, I've got to call that as an early Marsh orchid and common spotted hybrid. I reserve the right to change my mind on these when I see them on the computer, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I don't know if I can show you the leaves. They are down there and they have got spots on. It's a lovely flower, whatever it is. Purple form of early Marsh incarnata is my pitch for that one. I mean, very distinctive early Marsh patterning on the flowers with those two sacs, no spots on the leaves. I mean, the only other thing it could be is Southern Marsh orchid. It just doesn't look like a Southern Marsh orchid with those markings. You would expect spots going down the centre rather than two loops. It could be. It could even be a hybrid between Southern Marsh and early Marsh. But I'll leave it as early Marsh for now. I've been looking for one of these actually. I don't know much about Marsh Helleborine, I've got to admit, but I know there's a couple of variations which kind of lack all colour except sort of white, green, yellow. They don't have anything else. I think this is one of them. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. There's no colouring on this apart from the white and the yellow. I'll have to look it up as ever. But I think I found what I was looking for, a variation on a Marsh Helleborine. Well, it's a fantastic scrape, this one. It is huge. It's huge. I've been here 20 minutes. I doubt I've covered more than about 20% of it. But I'm running out of water now, and I've done nearly 4 hours. So as I had planned, I'm going to head off, take a break now, refresh everything, and come back down again this evening, late afternoon, early evening, and I'm going to start exactly where I'm leaving off here, so I will see you then. Right, it's 20 to 5 in the afternoon, I'm back and I'm going to pick up, as I said earlier, where I left off with this white variation of the Marsh Helleborine. I've visited my textbooks during the lunch break and I can confirm that it is an albiflora version or variation, which is the rarer of the two variations. There is an Orchids form which looks very similar but still has sort of purple lines inside the flower. I've just looked at this one. There ain't no purple lines in there, it's pure white really, so I'm going to call this as an albiflora variation of the Marsh Helleborine, which is great to see, a new one for me. There you go. Southern Marsh orchid with spot overload. Another boldly marked plant with no spots on the leaves. Early Marsh, Southern Marsh, probably, possibly. Here's a standard Marsh Helleborine for you, and behind as you can probably see, that one has no colour apart from white, yellow and green. So this is another variant. Again, there's absolutely no stripes or anything inside the flower, so this is another albiflora. I think it said somewhere if you find one you may well find more. That's nice, that one. And there's another one, probably the best of the bunch. Several flowers open on that one. Another albiflora variation. Very nice. That's a common spotted Southern Marsh hybrid. It's got spots on the leaves. Not actually seen too many of these, probably because there's quite a low population of common spotteds here really. Just looking next door, probably one of the parents, there is a common spotted. And there aren't too many of these. Just on the fringes of the scrapes you tend to find a few. I suspect that is related to that. That's an incarnata form of the early Marsh orchid, rich purple version for sure. And I think that's another one, another incarnata early Marsh orchid. I mean, it could be Southern Marsh really, but it's very small and stumpy, and it's definitely got those two sacs on there, which is unusual for Southern Marsh and very typical, obviously, for early Marsh. I found a nice patch of these standard common spotted Southern Marsh hybrids. It's quite nice. Some bold in your face markings. Marsh Helleborines everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Extremely vibrant colour on that Southern Marsh orchid. I never did really find a Northern Marsh. It wouldn't be far off this one if I did find one, but that isn't one. It's just a very, very colourful Southern Marsh. What a fantastic evening. And that's it for Kenfig. 3 days, hot days, what a sight. I mean, I always have doubts that places will live up to their reputations. I mean, this one totally did and more. Absolutely fantastic. If you can get over here in June, it's well worth the trek, and it is a trek. But Kenfig Nature Reserve, absolutely superb. I've seen variations on marsh orchids, you know, coming out of my ears, basically different colours, different hybrids. I'm not sure what I saw. It certainly defeated me on more than one occasion in terms of what it was I was looking at, but I love that. I love that. It was a great challenge, and saw the fen orchids, which was brilliant. So I'm absolutely thrilled to bits. It's been a hot week. I've walked a long way, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks for tuning in. I've still got some frantic sites to visit in the next 7 days back at home, so June is still the month and I need to get out. So I will see you then, and as I say, thanks for tuning in. Get down to Kenfig, brilliant.